everyone, it's Lindsay and welcome back to my channel. So everyone seemed to love watching me fail in my I publicly failed at querying video. I'm actually surprised with how well received that video was. I guess everybody kind of deals with this in their own way, especially hearing from author tubers in that video and how they feel. That was really interesting. And then like for the rest of you guys who are just querying and like are failing with me, like it was just awesome to have that support. So this video is going to be about the 3 lessons that I learned while failing in the query trenches. These are just specifically things for me that I feel like I wish I would have done differently. There are a lot of great resources on how to query. Again, I will link Alexa Dunn's videos down below because those are what I used and that's what I think is the best resource on AuthorTube right now. Number 1, I wish that I had queried in smaller rounds. It's like, I know we all get like super excited and we just want to like yeet all of our queries into the inboxes of the agents and just get all the responses, but that's actually not the best take. If you watched my video, then you know that I started out with a really small round of queries and I got some good responses, so I was like, oh, I'm good. Let me send like 25 queries all at once. But the thing about traditional publishing is, especially children's lit, is there's not that many agents who actually query that are good agents in a good agency that can actually sell your books in print. Like, there's not that many, maybe 40. If you query all of them at once and then you realize, oh, I could actually tweak my query a little bit to make it a bit better, well then you have like 5 agents left maybe to query. I mentioned in that video that I changed my query and my request rate went up 32% after the fact. The problem was there was like 7 agents left for me to query at that point, and that's not a very big pool. I stand by the fact to this day, and maybe it's delusional, I don't know, I probably am, but I really do think that I had a good book, but agents just didn't read it because the query was good, but not like really great and really attention getting until I changed it and I switched it for the second query. And then it was like great and explosive and like made it seem a lot more marketable and juicy. But at that point it's too late. So really, I do think that you should always be querying in small rounds. If it's your first time going out with a book, if it's your first or second round, 3 to 6 agents at a time. Once you hear from someone, you can send out another query in their place. I think with my current book that I'm querying, The Glass Witch, I've never had more than like 8 queries out at one time because I'm trying to stick to small rounds, and that's working really well for me. The Glass Witch is doing much better than my YA When the Sea Came for Us did because I'm doing this. The whole reason behind small rounds is that if you need to change something, if you're getting feedback from agents that's like, this is a good book or this is a good query, but ... then you have time to change that before you send it out to more agents, you know? Because sometimes multiple agents will give you the same feedback, which again happened with me when I did the bigger round. I was getting like, you know, I would get 5 to 7 full requests and all of the full requests were coming back with rejections with the exact same feedback. Whereas if I had just queried a couple at a time and given them a couple at a time, I could have been like, oh, okay, I'm not gonna send out any more fulls until I do this revision. Also with this method, if you send out a query in your first or second round and you're not getting as many requests as you want, if you've done small rounds, maybe you've only queried 12 agents, then you could ask a critique partner or ask somebody else to look over your query one more time. And it can be the smallest difference. Like I'm talking like 1 to 2 words differently in your query that can completely change the trajectory of your querying journey. Like there are just some words that are more flashy, that are more visceral than others, and sometimes you need more perspectives to kind of like weasel those words out. So yeah, just from someone who failed at this by querying too large of a group, do it in small sections. I know it's hard. I know I was right there. Like I wanted to query everyone at one time. I just kind of wanted it to be over, and at the same time I was really excited to hear back from them, so I just wanted to query everyone, but it really will bite you in the butt. Also, real quick, I want to add this in there because I know a couple of you would be like me and would watch videos like this and be like, oh, well, my query is actually perfect. Like, it can't get any better. I've workshopped it. I've had 12 critiques. It's ready to go. You can always do better. You can always do better. And the thing is, if you're continuing to write and continuing to improve your craft, you're gonna be better 6 weeks after you send that query than you were when you send the query. 6 months, 6 years, whatever, you're constantly getting better. So there's no reason you can't make little tweaks to your query as it goes on. Like, I feel this. I was right there with you. I was watching videos where people were like, query in small rounds, and I'm like, I'm good. I'm a good writer. I know what I'm doing. I've watched all the YouTube videos. I've done my research. I'm ready to query everyone. And it's like, no, sit down, Martha, and I'll sit down with you because we're a hot mess. Okay, the second one is kind of a smaller thing, but I still wish I would have done it. And that is to have a synopsis ready when you go into the query trenches. The thing about this is, like, probably 25% of the agents you're going to query are going to require a synopsis up front with your query. And what I did was, because I was being lazy and I didn't want to write a synopsis, was that when I was tailoring my query list, I was actually putting the agents that required synopsis like in my last, like, you know, in round 2 and 3 and 4, because I didn't want to deal with it. I didn't want to write it. And like, really, that's dumb because you should be tailoring your query list to like exactly your needs and not taking into account, like, you know, the fact that you don't want to write a query or write a synopsis. Sorry. I know synopses aren't fun and a lot of people really hate writing them. I actually like writing synopsis better than queries. I think they're easier for me. Some people think that they're harder. I just didn't want to do it because I was ready to query and I wanted to get out there and like start doing my thing, you know? But you need to have all of your material ready up front, especially because you never know if an agent is going to request and be like, hey, I really love this. Send me your synopsis and your full book. And then you're just like, and if you take like 2 to 3 days to respond, like so you can write your query, the agent's gonna know that you didn't have the material ready up front, and they're gonna keep that in the back of their mind as they like get to you, and they're gonna be like, like side-eyeing, like this person isn't very professional. Funny enough with me, how I said that some of the agents that required a synopsis, like I had queried them in like farther back rounds, some of them were actually ones that like really liked my book and got like asked for a full request, and I'm like, dang, I could have got a full request like 6 months earlier if I just wrote the dang synopsis. And number 3 is kind of like more of my spicy, salacious thing that I wish I would have done, and that is I really wish I would have gone super deep into an agent's Twitter feed before I had decided to query them. Now, that's not to say that I did not research my agents, because I 100% did, and you should be too. I honestly feel like at the very least, 30 minutes of research per agent should be happening. With all of the resources available to us querying authors, like there's no reason we shouldn't at least be spending that amount of time. There are interviews, blog posts, some people have interviewed agents on YouTube, there's Query Tracker, there's publishers, marketplace, like there's so many things to look at. You should be doing your research. All of that aside, you know, and following an agent on Twitter is part of your research. Like you need to see what's happening, especially if they're very active on Twitter. They will give updates on when they're open or closed to queries, their manuscript wish list, what they really want. So Twitter is a great resource. But what I did not do was I did not do like in-depth Twitter searches. Like I maybe looked at their last couple weeks of tweets, and I really wish that with some of these agents I would have gone a little bit deeper, maybe like even 3 or 4 months back. The thing is, and with Twitter moving so fast, a lot of stuff gets buried, but some agents are problematic and some are just like, even if they're not problematic, they're like unprofessional, or they just tweet things that maybe don't like vibe well with you. And I kind of learned that the hard way. There was an agent who on the surface level with all of my research looked really great, and so I decided to query them. And then I followed them on Twitter and I started to see things that I did not like as much, and I did some deep diving like 6 months back, and there were like social issues and things going on, and the tweets were not aligned not aligned with the stars, and ends up that person did offer like a full request, and so I had to make the decision to not send them my full because I was not super happy. And I don't think that happens maybe to everyone, or maybe it does, I don't know. I've never actually talked to anyone about this, but it's just like, you really need to figure out who they are as a person. So like the deeper you can dive into their Twitter feed is probably a good idea. It was messy and it made me feel kind of gross, and it was like a sucky situation because like I got a full request and I couldn't be excited about it, you know? So those are the 3 lessons from a failed Querier. I hope these things are helpful or inspiring to you to, you know, do better than me. If you have queried yourself, please let me know down in the comments, like what's the #1 lesson that you learned from failing in the query trenches. I think that these are very good conversations to be having, because I think we can save a lot of people from you know, falling into bad situations or making mistakes. So let's all share our knowledge of failure. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. If you wouldn't mind, give me a thumbs up. That really helps my channel. And if you liked the content, please subscribe. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!